All right, I'll get right to it then. Good morning, everyone. Thank you for joining in on the session. My name is Mopati Kekhatetse. I'm a lecturer at Botswana Accountancy College here in Botswana. I'm also a PhD candidate at the University of Pretoria, and the focus of my talk will be on digital forensic investigation and linguistic analysis of cybercrime. In this presentation, I will cover how digital forensic investigation and linguistic analysis has evolved to cover the challenges of modern cybercrime. I will also highlight the findings and future research directions. Here is a brief outline of what I'm going to cover in this presentation. I'll start with the introduction. I'll give a background and the significance of the study. I will then discuss evolution of digital forensics investigation models, how they have evolved since their inception. Next will be research questions. Here I will discuss the focus areas for this study. I will then jump into the methodology where I discuss how we have conducted the study. Inclusion and exclusion criteria we will follow, which points out how we qualified studies for inclusion into our research. Next will be linguistic analysis in digital forensic investigation, then the findings and gaps, and finally I will conclude and map future research directions. Cybercrime has continued to evolve rapidly, with offenders using even more sophisticated techniques to commit offenses such as cyber fraud, cyberbullying, cyber espionage, and so on and so forth. Digital forensics is a technique that assists us or helps in retrieving the evidence from digital devices in order to support the investigations so that we may bring the perpetrators to justice. Linguistic analysis complements the digital forensics by helping us to decode the intent and patterns in text-based communications. This study is a systematic review of digital forensic investigation models, where we are evaluating how linguistic analysis has been integrated into the models, identifying the gaps in the current approaches, and the main emphasis being on semantic analysis in supporting the digital forensics process. Evolution of DFI models. The early models being the digital forensic investigation model, the digital forensic research workshop framework, and the integrated digital investigative process. This early model surfaced around the year 2000 to 2002. They were mainly emphasized on the digital aspects, the technical aspects related to the evidence, which involve activities such as analysis, authentication, and the chain of custody. Later models, the enhanced digital investigative process model and the digital crime scene analysis model. These later models were more comprehensive than their previous counterparts, as they integrated further phases for deeper analysis of the electronic evidence in terms of the investigative process. The harmonized digital forensics investigation model and the comprehensive digital forensics process model are two models that are standard compliant, or they reference an international standard. These two models contain integrated phases, and they've got features that allow for easier information flow and management, and they are also flexible. The increasing complexity in cyber crimes has caused the FI models to keep on evolving in response to the dynamic landscapes, and this trend may continue into the future. And now the research questions that were guiding our study. Research question number 1 here, we were looking at how the DFI models evolved in response to the dynamic cybercrime landscape. Research question 2 looked at the extent to which linguistic analysis has been integrated into existing digital forensic investigation models. Research question number 3 looked at investigation of the international standards for digital forensics, while research question number 4 was discussing or looking at what is the level of support of existing models in terms of complying with these standards. Now the research methodology. To conduct the study, we employed a systematic literature review. This is a comprehensive and structured approach that allowed us to analyze existing works. We started by framing the key questions that guide focus areas as discussed in the previous slide. The databases that were searched are IEEE Explore Digital Library, Science Direct, the ACM Digital Library. This allowed us access to quality sources for inclusion into our research. We used keywords which were also being guided by the focus areas, keywords such as digital forensics investigation, linguistic analysis, digital forensics standards. The systematic literature review also has or incorporates what we call an inclusion and exclusion criteria, which helps us to qualify studies for inclusion into the research. And our inclusion criteria included works that are published from the year 2000 onwards to 2024, studies that are peer-reviewed, and academic papers that are published in the English language. The exclusion criteria, we did not consider articles that were sort of opinion-based, were not peer-reviewed. Also, non-English articles were not considered, and papers that were not readily available in full text were not considered. Linguistics analysis in DFI. The language understanding remains key or is key to investigations in terms of comprehending with and understanding the digital forensics or investigation of cyber crimes, because it helps us to detect the authorship and intent behind digital messages in text-based communications. The early models lacked language integration, or linguistic analysis was lacking in most of the DFI models. However, semantic analysis continues to gain traction and recognition in existing works because of its popularity in uncovering text-based crimes such as cyberbullying, hate speech, incitement of violence, and most of these kind of crimes are mainly committed in social media platforms, and hence semantic analysis is key in supporting social media forensics. Now the key findings and gaps from our methodology being the systematic literature review. We had a total of 186 studies as we are applying our keywords and searching through the databases, and these were trimmed down to eventually 41 studies that were included as part of the research. Digital forensics models, we found out that they lack AI integration or artificial intelligence integration. Linguistic analysis integration is also needed in the digital forensics investigation model. The standards compliance still remains a challenge. In our investigation, we found out that there are two standards: the harmonized digital forensics investigation model, which was published in 2015, as an ISO standard 27043, and there's also the ISO 27037 of 2012. So the comprehensive digital forensics investigation process model aligns with these two standards, but the HDFMI, which is the ISO standard or published as a standard in 2015, is one that is very holistic and covers all the phases into one process. Next generation models should therefore be adaptable, and the overall aim here is to come up with a standard compliant model that is able to respond to the dynamic environments that lead to cyber crimes to rapidly evolve. In conclusion, and looking ahead, there is need to integrate the use of AI and machine learning in the DFI models, because it's very key in supporting understanding of huge or big data sets in terms of uncovering the hidden patterns. There is also need to incorporate linguistic and semantic analysis into the design of the DFI models. Rather than having this as an afterthought, it should rather be incorporated into the actual design of the model itself. Also looking ahead, the focus should be on adaptable, standard compliant models. There is also need to develop prototypes and tools for real-world use so that practitioners can know how to apply the DFI models into their use case. We need to ensure that DFI meets legal requirements, and this is very important because the digital evidence needs to be relied upon by the court of laws, and we can only do that by making sure that the chain of custody is preserved throughout, which will improve forensic accuracy in cyber crimes, and hence the evidence will be reliable at legal proceedings. Now, this concludes my presentation. My contact details are on screen, and I will now take it back to the committee. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. We do have 1 minute for questions. Any questions from the floor? Yes, please proceed. We'll bring a mic. Thank you.
Hello, can you hear me? Cool. Yeah, I just have one question. Have you considered any commercial products as well? I know you've done only an academic view on digital investigation, but I would like to know if you've considered any commercial products such as Grey Key, Cellbrite, X-rays.
Did you hear the question?
Yes, I think I got the question.
Thank you. Please proceed.
Yes, so the question is about whether we've considered the commercial products in doing the investigation. Yeah, as the research questions pointed out, the main focus of the investigation was to highlight what could be the open areas of research, and the commercial tools, yes, could be there being used as part of the models, but we are mainly focused on and being guided by the research questions, which sort of were our lenses as we were looking into gathering sources for our study.
Thank you. One more question, maybe? No? Good. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a wonderful day.